What is up, GameLeapers? It's Panther, and today we're going to be focusing on 5 top lane tips that will help you on your way to Diamond. Honestly, these tips will work for any elo, but if you implement these in every single one of your games, you're going to be Diamond in no time. For more supplemental videos to help you with your climb, make sure to check out our website, GameLeap.com. Our Challenger coaches over on the website are releasing daily videos to help you and thousands of others just like you on their climb all the way up the ladder. The end of season is coming up, and if you want the best odds at climbing that ranked ladder, make sure you click the link in the description today. Without further ado, let's get right into that first tip. And this is, of course, going to be make sure that you are playing carry champions and not tank/utility champions. If you want the best shot at carrying any game, you need to make sure that you are playing champions that will actually allow you to do this. Remember that champions like Ornn or Malphite may be strong champions and they may work really well with your team comp, but they will only work if your teammates do well. This is the part of the tank playstyle that I don't like for climbing. I don't want to put the game in the hands of my teammates. I want the game to be in my hands. This is the reason why every single time I play through lower elos on a fresh account, I'm always playing carries in every single game that I play. Now, if you want the best odds at winning any game, I would highly recommend just one-tricking one hard carry champion. The reason why one-tricking is so strong is because you're going to know exactly what you need to do in every single game. You're going to be very familiar with your champions. You're going to be very familiar with your matchups. It's going to eliminate all of the variables that make you unsure of what you need to do next. I understand that one-tricking can be very boring for some people, and they cannot play the same champion game after game after game. So at the very least, you want to make sure that you are playing carry champions and not tanks, but if you can one-trick something that is a carry champion, this makes the tip even stronger. Again, there are a lot of variables in the game, and the only constant is you. So you want your constant to be as strong as possible. Now, how are we going to take these carry champions and make ourselves as strong as possible? Well, this is where tip number 2 comes into play. You need to be considering taking demolish in a lot of your games in lower elo. Now, this may be a strange tip to hear, especially because higher elo players typically don't take demolish unless it's on a very specific pick. So why am I telling you to take demolish if pro players or even a player like myself doesn't take the rune? Well, the answer is very simple. It's because you're not a pro player and you're definitely not me. So if you don't have the same lane management skills that a pro player has or that I have, you're not going to be able to take plates and pressure the map as easily as somebody who does have these skills. I've practiced lane management for over a decade at this point. I know exactly what to do with every single wave, and I know what to do at least 30 seconds ahead of time. This is something that a lot of players just don't have, and that's fine. That is where demolish comes into play. You see, demolish is going to allow you to still take tower plates without actually needing to manage your lane well at all. You can easily just crash waves into the enemy tower, proc your demolish, and get a plate. And this is what makes it so strong in lower elo, especially with players who haven't mastered lane management yet. It's going to cover for those mistakes while you're still learning lane management, and yes, it's absolutely going to take you a long time to learn wave management and to perfect this skill, but you can just take demolish as a band-aid fix for the meantime and allow yourself to get as much gold as possible, miss as little EXP as possible, and build up that massive lead that you're going to need in order to carry games. The important thing here is you're not overstaying for plates. Just get that plate, go back, buy, and then come straight back to the lane. This is important because you need to remember that you don't want to miss any EXP. EXP is just as important, if not more important, than gold. So you don't want to sit and get as many plates in one push as possible. That is always a bad habit to have. Just get the one plate and make sure you're not going to miss any EXP. Make sure that you're basing on time and buying so that you can come back to the lane without missing any minions. This is going to transition well into the third tip, which is to focus on your laning phase. The goal of your laning phase, as we've already stated, is to come out of the lane with as much of a lead as possible. Getting plates is one of the ways that we already covered that's going to give you a massive gold lead in the early lane phase, but the other thing that you're going to want to be looking to do is to CS as much as you can. I'm positive that when looking through other videos, you have seen some sort of metric for how much CS you want to aim for in 10 minutes. Now, when coaches tell you you want to aim for, let's say, 80 CS in 10 minutes, they're not just picking a random number. We're not just saying, okay, 10 minutes because why not? It looks nice. No, we're saying this because 10 minutes is actually very important. The first 10 minutes of the game, the amount of CS that you're able to pick up in the first 10 minutes of the game is going to heavily affect the next 10 minutes and then the next 10 minutes of the game. Personally, I don't even care the amount of CS specifically that you're getting in those first 10 minutes. What I want you to focus on is building a CS lead in those 10 minutes. See, everyone is going to be able to CS a different number, and that's fine. But depending on what rank you are, you want to have certain CS leads. So if you're CSing at 90 CS per 10 minutes versus 60 CS per 10 minutes, these are both fine as long as you have like a 20 CS lead on your laner. I would be lying if I told you that you needed 100 CS at 10 minutes in order to escape Iron. That is not the case. What you need is a CS lead. So while it is definitely very helpful to hop into practice tools, CS on your own without anyone else in the lane, it's just as important to make sure that you are playing solo queue games and you're practicing denying CS from the enemy laner. The more of a menace that you become in the laning phase, the harder it's going to be to stop you once we move into the mid game. This is why when we watch pro players or one tricks in solo queue, the lane phase is almost always immaculate. They make very few mistakes and they're able to build a pretty large lead in the lane phase. It's because lane phase is such a massive deal. You're going to start level 1 on the same ground as the enemy laner, but 10 minutes into the game, whatever lead you're going to be able to build is just going to make your life easier as the game goes on. This is going to lead us straight into tip number 4, which is to make sure that you are split pushing in your games. If you've already built a lead in the early lane phase, that means you're going to be stronger than the enemy laner in the side lane. This means that they can't stop you from taking towers or getting solo kills or building an even larger lead, stealing camps, etc. Split pushing is a hard strategy to deal with, especially in lower elos. They are probably just going to lane more people into your lane, which is a good thing for you because that means that your teammates can do things elsewhere on the map without being contested nearly as much. This can get you free barons, dragons, towers, etc. I cannot tell you the amount of diamond players that I've played against with zero mechanical ability that just play Set or Tryndamere, Fiora, Garen, whatever, and just split push all game long, never group, and just force the game down. That is how powerful split pushing is. This playstyle is so annoying because all it takes is one mistake and the split pusher can sometimes just end the game. There are numerous games that I've played where I've been absolutely slaughtered in lane phase but just split push the whole game without ever grouping, and a team fight breaks out somewhere and I ended the game during the team fight because nobody came back to stop me. Now there's definitely a right and a wrong way to split push. We don't want to be that 0-12 Aatrox in the side lane, okay? So this is going to lead into tip number 5, which is to invade for camps. You can't always safely pressure the enemy tower, so when we're not able to safely pressure the enemy tower, and this is going to be when we don't see everyone on the map, we want to make sure that we're doing something else that's productive. This is invading, usually for camps, but sometimes also for vision. So the idea is when there are a few missing enemy players on the minimap, you don't know where they are, you don't want to push up because they could be ganking you. You want to also take yourself off of the minimap. This is going to exert pressure in multiple different ways. We don't really need to get into that. But if you're off the minimap, they don't know exactly where you are or what you're doing. You want to make sure that when there are enemies missing, you're just keeping yourself safe. You don't want to die to them because this is going to make you lose any pressure. So what I do is I just sit in a bush and I wait for people to show. And then as soon as the enemy team shows, I go and I drop a ward. This is going to protect me so that I can play more aggressive than I was playing. Please, 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 please do not look to drop a ward when people are missing. I've done this so many times that I've learned my lesson now. If they're missing and you go to drop a ward, you're just gonna face check them and die. Wait for people to show and then drop the ward. Once the ward is down, you can easily take camps whenever you want without being messed with. Now let's recap in order to see what things should look like when we're doing all of these tips properly and making them fit together. One, of course, we're going to be playing a carry champion. It's going to allow us to win duels and win our lane phase. Two, we're going to be taking demolish. It's going to allow us to take towers a lot faster and build a gold lead by eating up those delicious tower plates. Three, we're going to make sure that we're focusing on our lane phase and improving it so that we can walk out of that lane phase with a massive gold and EXP lead. This allows us to take our lead and move straight into tip number 4, which is going to be split pushing in the mid and late game. Finally, we're going to make sure that anytime we can't pressure the enemy towers, we're taking camps, we're getting vision down, we're not wasting any time. We want to continue building our lead. We want to make sure that the enemy team can't get back into the game by picking up our shutdowns. Now, one thing to take note of is that you're probably going to get spam pings by your teammates because you refuse to group. And this is completely fine. Just mute the pings. It happens to me all the time. I just mute them, I ignore them, and I win games by carrying them through split push. Does it matter that my teammates don't like what I'm doing? No, it doesn't, because you're winning them the game. If you do all this properly, you're going to have these same exact results. It is truly such an overpowered strategy to capitalize on. And if you're a top laner and you want to climb fast, you absolutely need to be doing it. The other thing that you absolutely need to be doing if you want to climb as fast as possible is you need to be checking out our website content. There is so much that you can learn from our website content that we don't have time to post here on YouTube. If you're not already signed up, make sure you do so right now by clicking the link in the description below. That's about all that I have for you for today's video. As always, I'm Panther. I hope you learned something valuable, and I will see you in the next video.